Hello and welcome to Keeping It Young podcast. Conversations about marriage, family, and ministry life. I'm Dave.
And I'm Bethany.
And we're the Youngs, and we are glad you have joined us today.
Yes, welcome.
We've been talking for several weeks now on the subject of investments in your marriage, investing in your marriage.
We've got a lot of good feedback from that.
Yes, we have. We've gotten a ton of messages and emails, texts. People come to us personally.
Right.
It's actually been pretty awesome. We've been amazed. We actually just crossed 12,000 downloads.
Woohoo!
And Beth and I really never thought,
No.
A couple of hundred here and there, but to have the thought of 12,000 of you listening to what we have to say is a little scary, actually.
Amazing and humbling.
And we are really, really amazed, just really, really amazed and very thankful. And a couple of things I want to tell you about. First of all, if you're really enjoying the podcast, you think it is helpful to you, and if you think it would be a help to others, Bethany and I'd be thrilled if you shared it on your social media.
Right.
If you let your friends know, mention it in your church. We're trying to be biblical and practical and helpful.
Yes.
And we have something new to tell you about. If you go to our website, keepingityoungpodcast.com, you'll notice down in the right-hand corner of the screen a microphone. And you can actually click on that microphone and send us voicemail right from the webpage.
Right.
And we'll get that in an email form and be able to interact with you if you'd like to do that.
Yep.
And we'd love to hear from you. It's brief. I think it's 60 seconds, or there's some that'll let you do a little bit longer than that.
Ask us a question,
And,
give us a topic.
Absolutely. We'd love
that
to hear
you'd
from
like to
you.
hear about. Yes,
And so Bethany and I are really thrilled and very thankful.
we are.
So we have been talking about really three aspects of investing in your marriage. We dealt with relationships,
Right.
and we dealt with
Roles.
responsibilities. Actually, those were reversed. We started with roles and responsibilities, Ephesians 5. Then we dealt with the relationship on the basis of
Best
let's be
friend.
best friends.
Yes.
And then for the last 2 weeks, we've been talking about romance.
Woohoo.
And as my wife said, vavoom. And I really like that word. That's a good word, vavoom. And so we actually
blushing.
have... I'm going to keep going here and see how far we can get.
Just get to your notes there, buddy.
This is awesome. So we have one more session just to talk about romance. And then here at the end of our podcast today, we'll introduce a couple of more sessions we're going to do on the investment side of things.
Yes.
But today we want to just review a little bit this romance. What we've done in these first two sessions, podcasts dealing with romance, is to try to lay the groundwork that in the Bible, Christianity believes in human sexuality.
Yes, and we'll just take this moment right now to say, if you have babies in the room, younger children, stick those earbuds in, or maybe wait till nap time. Okay,
If
go
you
ahead.
have teenagers in the room, leave it blaring and smirk.
Yes, well, maybe not. Okay, go ahead.
So we wanted just to remind you that it was God's design.
Right.
Human sexuality is not Hollywood's idea, LGBTQ idea.
No.
Nope, it's God's design. So we looked at Genesis, the creative act of Adam and Eve was about human sexuality. We learned there, even in Genesis 2, that sexuality, the sexual act of marriage, is more important than food in the divine order. One of my favorite things to learn in Genesis 2.
Another vavoom.
We looked at Proverbs chapter 5, where Solomon taught his son to be ravished with his love for his wife,
Right.
to be satisfied with her breasts, and very, very frank, but very biblical. And then we
Right.
dealt some with the Song of Solomon to show that the literal interpretation of that poem is about a man and a woman who are in love,
Right.
and all that goes into that. Probably the most important verse in the Bible about marriage is the one that all of us know, where the Bible says, "For this cause a man leaves father and mother, is joined to his wife, and they two shall be one." So we want to kind of just tie everything together here today with
Right.
more practical and encouraging, strengthening, hopefully for your marriage, your
Right.
bedroom.
Application.
And so
Yes.
let's talk about, first of all, the power of romance. And here's a line that Bethany and I believe very strongly.
Yes.
Romance is
Lifestyle, not just
not just the bed. And that's very important to understand. Romance is a lifestyle, not just a bed.
Right.
The world focuses on the bed.
Yes.
It's about self, it's about me, it's about mine, it's about
Right.
my need.
Right.
But in a marriage, we're focused on each other.
Right.
And that's why romance is a lifestyle, not just a bed. It involves the dating.
Yes.
Dating is the lifestyle of romance. If you know, and maybe you're an older couple and you're like, we're together all the time. Well, that may be true, but a date is on purpose romance. It's an investment. It's
Absolutely.
time for each other. And don't overlook the importance and value of flirting. You know, even the word vavoom is a little public flirt here between me and my wife. She came up with that word last week.
Very public, obviously.
And I'm like, wow, that's a good word. And when I bring it up here today, it makes her blush a little bit here. This is a good deal. But there's a flirting part to that. There's a part that says, you know, I love you.
Yes.
And you look beautiful today.
I'm noticing you. I'm aware of you.
Thinking about you. And,
Yes.
and flirting can, you know, mean different things to different people.
Right.
But it ought to be unique to your marriage. It would be wrong for me to flirt with some other lady, but it would be entire. Oh, yes, it would be wrong. Did you hear that? There was death in those eyes. Wow.
Oh, my.
That was great. But it would be entirely appropriate to flirt with my Bethany.
Right.
And for you husbands out there, when's the last time you genuinely flirted with your wife? And wives, when's the last time you genuinely flirted with your man? That's romance.
Right.
And sometimes we're like, well, you know, we don't have a relationship in the bedroom. Well, that's not going to start because you go to a bedroom and turn the lights out. That's going to start in the morning when you
Right.
wink at each other, when you send a flirt text throughout the day,
Right.
or you write a love note.
You write a little note on the calendar, or yes,
Yeah,
send
Bethany,
flowers,
Bethany
send
wrote
chocolate,
flowers.
send coffee.
The little, we have a little calendar. Who's that by? What's
The artist is Mary Engelbright.
Yeah, my mother-in-law, Mom Dennis, buys Bethany a Mary Engelbright kitchen calendar every year. And it's just a little thing you tear off one page a day. And, you know, like it lists all these holidays.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so we always joke
Holidays
about,
from
oh my goodness,
around the world.
like this weekend was Father's Day in
Australia. Yes.
So our joke, you know, we little flirt there. It's like, oh my goodness, we got to celebrate Father's Day, wink, wink. and we even write that sometimes. You know, we have children, so we're rated G when we put things on the
Right.
calendar. But a little flirt on the calendar, the kids will read it and they'll smirk about it, but
Or roll their eyes.
or sigh.
Yes.
But they know that mom and dad are in love.
Yes.
And so it's practicing the power of romance. Romance in a marriage is a lifestyle, not just the bed, but I think it would be fair to say that romance in a marriage should always include the bed.
Absolutely.
And that is an important part. Hebrews 13:5, we reviewed it already, but let's review it again. Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed is undefiled.
Yes.
And in 1 Corinthians 7, verses 3 through 5, the husband is to render unto the wife due benevolence, the wife also unto the husband. The wife hath not power of her own body, but her husband, and likewise also the husband hath not power of his own body, but the wife. And he very clearly says there that we're not to defraud one the other.
Right.
And we've already said this, but let's review it because it's so important. Romance is what separates a marriage from all other relationships.
Right. It's what makes it unique. I just wanted to add in here, it's not in our notes, so we're jumping into uncharted waters.
Jump in. This will be great.
I do know that sometimes as a woman, if the woman is thinking, my husband is only taking me out on this date because he thinks we're going to end up back in the bedroom and I am tired and I just am stressed and just a date's not going to get me in a romantic mood. You know what, girls, just communicate that, because expectations cannot be met or sustained if they're not communicated.
Sure.
So if you are very tired before you go on your date, because you know what, your husband may listen to this podcast and he may be like, oh, that's what I'm missing. I need to take her on a hot date. And he takes you on a date and then you get back home and you're like, okay, these are my favorite oldest frayed pajamas and I'm in bed and I'm going to sleep. He's
Sure.
going to be a little disappointed. So maybe before the date, just talk about it. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm really tired. Could we maybe put it on the calendar for tonight? We have a date. Tomorrow night, we have a date in the bedroom.
Why not?
Yeah.
There you go. Amen. I
Okay.
like that.
Anyway.
And we'll even mention that in a few moments when we talk about scheduling things
Right.
here towards the end. So remember the power of romance.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lifestyle, and it's a bed, and it's important.
Right.
So then let's talk about a second thing here. Not just the power of romance, but let's talk about, in a practical sense, the power, and listen to this word carefully, sensuality. Not sexuality, but sensuality.
Our
That
5 senses.
That has to do with our senses.
Right.
And God designed us with senses. And senses are what makes life really great.
Right.
We can see, we can hear, we can smell, we can
enjoy
touch.
food.
We can taste. and so this is sensuality.
Right.
And oftentimes in the busyness of our life, we're running and moving and going, and especially if both of you work and you have kids with ball games and ball teams and after school events.
Or newborn babies.
There's all kinds of matters here that distract us. And
Right.
you that are older, some of your kids are grown. You don't have a whole lot of demands, but the TV's on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know everything going on in D.C. and what all the political parties are doing, but you don't know each other real well.
Right.
That's just where the power of sensuality comes in. Like, for instance, touching, practicing the power of touch. Touch is a gift from God.
Right.
And it is a very powerful thing.
It is.
And our kids are different love languages. We have one of our kids in particular, his definite love language is touch. If he's watching a movie with you, he wants to be totally up against you, just full body as close as he can get to you.
Wants to cuddle, and he's 6'3".
And he likes that. And if he's listening, he's shaking his head, yes, that's what I want.
You shouldn't be listening to this one.
But if we have another son that, he's very, his touch is selective. There'll be times he'll come in and he'll want you to put your arm around him.
Right.
He'll come in, there'll be times he'll want to lay on my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's other times, and it's kind of a joke. The other night we were watching a movie together and I just kept reaching over and putting my arm on his shoulder. And he was like, "What are you doing?" "I just wanted to touch you." And it was interesting to me how different he is from his brother.
Right.
So we're all different.
We are.
But there's something special about holding your wife or your husband's hand.
Absolutely.
That's touch.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting in church together, holding hands, or sitting in church together and turning slightly sideways and putting your arm around your spouse.
Right.
In the old days, touch was huge in the sense that people would go on a drive and we had the front seats of the car. The bucket seats came along and they were not of God.
They separated
They
us.
separated married people and dating couples. But you could sit close together. The power of touch is just one way to practice sensuality.
Right. And I know there are some couples who are, that's just not us. Well, that's fine. Maybe you're not going to walk through the mall swinging your hands that are held together tightly or snuggled up together in the restaurant. But when you're home and you're on the couch, yes, you should remind each other that you do like to touch each other.
Yeah, that you're attracted to each other.
Yes.
Yeah. And I would even go so far as to say, sometimes a couple will say, "That's not me," instead of "That's not us." But if you're aware that your wife likes touch and you don't touch her, then you have a problem.
Right.
Or if you're aware that he likes to be touched, but you never hold his hand, then
Yes.
you're being very selfish.
Very difficult.
And you're going to have problems in your marriage.
Yes.
So this is sensuality, even kissing.
Right.
This is part of marriage. Kissing can be a great determination of love. Like an awkward kiss. An awkward kiss says, "Oh, this is a relationship that could be improved," or
something's wrong.
or it would say that we never do this. A couple that's getting married that's never kissed each other till they get to the altar, you would kind of expect it to be a little awkward. But if you've been married 20 years and you have to give a kiss to your spouse somewhere and it's awkward, then something needs to change there. A sweet kiss can be a sweet relationship. Or, a passionate kiss would demonstrate a passionate relationship. And Beth and I try to remember to kiss often at predetermined times.
Right.
Like if, even today I was going somewhere, headed out, or maybe it was yesterday.
Yesterday you were running some errands.
I was running some errands and I came in to say, "Hey, I'm taking off." And my wife was cleaning the tub. And she stopped everything and said, "Hey, kiss me before you go." And so we had a little kiss there, just a goodbye.
It's just a little connection.
It's a sensual connection.
Yes, absolutely.
And God designed each of us with senses, and we all have different love languages for sure. But the touch, the taste, the seeing, the talking, hearing each other.
Yes.
We often eat meals together as a family, and almost always do. and my wife has music playing. It is a mood. It sets a stage. The candles, the smell, or even taking a shower. My wife will. My kids are always buying. When you have children, you always get soaps and whatever,
the lotions,
and so my wife will often say, "Wow, you smell good," or I will notice the same. "Wow, that lotion smells really good." That's about sensuality. So we should take care of ourselves for each other. Maybe even a reminder here: we should go to bed clean.
Yes.
And
take a shower.
Purchase candles for your room.
Yes.
Play music. Use massage oil.
Yes.
There's all kinds of ways you can enjoy sensuality.
Yes, make your room comfortable.
Absolutely.
Pleasing, and get a lock for your door.
And a fan that's very loud outside the door if necessary.
Everything helps.
Yes, it does. So this is about romance. So we've talked about that romance is a lifestyle, not just a bed.
Right.
We're talking about practicing the power of sensuality.
Right.
And let's just jump in and say it. In a marriage, there should be the practice of sexuality.
Yes.
God designed human sexuality in a marriage relationship to bring a closeness that is unparalleled.
Right.
That is the culmination of a close husband-wife relationship. And God's intention is for it to bring great happiness,
right,
great satisfaction, great depth. And there can be all kinds of issues in a couple's life, especially in our culture.
Right.
Maybe you've dealt with pornography in your past. Then there's a way to handle that. In your marriage, you've got to work on removing things in your mind that shouldn't be there.
Right.
You keep your eyes open when you are loving your spouse. You call each other by name. You talk to each other during love-making sessions.
Yes.
And if you need help, some physical situation, you see a doctor.
Right.
There's all kinds of things there. So this is just simply about practicing, tying together everything we've taught. When you're fulfilling your God-given roles. And by the way, I found an article, and Beth and I were talking about it just a moment ago. Sometimes people are like, well, it doesn't really matter that, we all live this biblical role. But I found an article by an economist who won a Nobel Prize for his study of the economic principles behind human interactions. It's a mouthful. His name's Gary Becker. And in reading the articles about his studies, he documented how, and this is his statement, this is not a Bible statement. This is a man who's an economist who's studying and doing research. He documented that the benefits of marriage receded as a woman's earning power rose relative to that of a man. And that's a really interesting statement because what happened in the 1960s and 70s and even 80s is that our culture rejected what we consider the biblical model for marriage. A husband who leads and provides for his family, a wife who partners with her husband. The Bible word there is submission, but it's a partnership. And she takes care primarily of the things of the home. And then all of that began to change as now we're two-income families where mom works as much as dad, sometimes makes more money than dad.
Right.
Or the wife more than the husband. But it was interesting. He has documented that in the culture we live in where sexuality is kind of waning, people are not interested in sexual relations.
Right.
Which is so weird to even think about. If you go back into the 1960s, the celebration there was free sex. You just do it with everybody.
Right.
And the idea there was to undermine marriage. Now we've come full circle to where people just aren't interested in it.
Right.
And his whole point was, in studying this, that there were many non-financial benefits found in the way it was in the olden days, meaning the formation of a stable, intimate, he used that term, relationship with a spouse.
Oh, you mean it was a financial benefit?
It was a non-financial benefit.
Oh.
As women, they were not getting married. He says it like this, and I'll just read it. The women had often entered marriages for financial reasons.
Right.
In the old days, she married to have a man take care of her financially.
Right.
But the non-financial benefits that followed was the formation of a stable, intimate relationship and the sense of purpose that came with raising a family. And he said this is very interesting. These are things that no job, however lucrative, can deliver. And my point being is that we live in a culture where the bedroom is joked about, laughed about, and in marriages many times people sigh and roll their eyes about it, not interested. We're here to tell you that based on the truth of God's word, you should be interested.
Absolutely.
It should be a normal, expected part of your marriage relationship. So here's a question for you. And Bethany and I'll talk to you about this question. What is hindering your marriage intimacy?
Right.
Is it a failure to plan? When's the last time you scheduled a date?
Right. You're just flying through life and you're not thinking about connecting as a spouse, whether that be in your best friend relationship or in your intimate relationship.
Yeah. You probably are aware of the fact that time is necessary for intimacy.
Right.
Which is why you've heard of probably blizzard babies or hurricane babies.
Or COVID babies.
Or COVID babies. People are home and they have more time during a blizzard when everything is shut down and they can't go to work or can't get out.
Right.
And many times married couples would make love during that time and find out 9 months later after that blizzard, we're having a baby. And
Well, they find out before that.
I've
but
always
they
kind
have
of
the baby
I've always kind of chuckled because Bethley's entire siblings were all born in the month of December.
Oh, yes.
So something happened in March in Ohio, apparently, that contributed to this.
Sorry,
And,
Mom. She's the one blushing now.
I hope my mom-in-law is listening to this. But the point being that it can hinder our marriages when we don't plan. This is an important part of the marriage, so plan it. Don't let busyness hinder your bedroom.
No.
Slow down. Slow down your life. Enjoy your marriage. Make a plan.
Right.
One of my friends had told me that he was lately has been coming home so stressed that he comes home and he's got so many things from his responsibilities and the work that he does. And he reached out to say, what can I do? I know my wife needs me, and I probably need her, but I'm stressed, I'm frustrated, I'm worn out. And so just a simple, what could you do? And he and I, brainstormed a little bit there. Well, why don't you come home and take a 30-minute nap? Say to your wife, give me 30 minutes to just lay down and sleep.
Right.
God designed us weak.
Yeah.
There's only so much we can do.
Right.
Everybody has to have sleep or your body shuts down and you'll kill yourself.
And it's the same for mommies. If you are a mommy of a newborn or even just running your children or you're entering that perimenopausal time of your life, you absolutely should prioritize a nap.
Yeah. And you men help with that. If you're coming home from work and wondering why your wife is not romantic, but she's been home, with 3 kids all day, or she's been working all day and coming home to 2 or 3 kids,
right?
Then help with that. To send your wife to get a nap. I'm going to take the kids. Take them for a walk. It'll be good exercise for you and a connection with the kids.
Right.
Or bathe the kids while she has a little time to herself. And all of those can contribute to your romance.
Yes.
Our culture is downplaying it. So don't let busyness, don't let a failure to plan, don't let time wasters. You can do without TV and survive.
Right.
But your marriage will not be what it ought to be without the bedroom.
Right.
And you could, Facebook has its advantages, but if you never, ever again were on Facebook, you could survive.
Absolutely.
But your marriage won't be strong without the bedroom.
Right.
So these are good. Just some practical suggestions. Any others there coming to your mind, sweetheart?
Well, unresolved conflict.
Oh, yeah.
That will absolutely take away from your romance. Absolutely.
Every time.
Yes. If one of you has a little something in your heart towards the other, it's very difficult to be romantic. So talk those out. Get them done. Kiss. And as David put in the notes, make out.
You can forgive, kiss, make up, or forgive, kiss, and make out.
There we go.
And one of the great things about being married is that you can solve every fight when it's all said and done by going to bed together.
Yes, you can.
And that makes it a good way to end a conflict in a marriage.
It reminds you again of why you two are very important.
Absolutely. So we're coming to the end of our time here, and we've enjoyed talking with you about investing in your marriage, about working on the roles and the responsibilities. Review those. Ephesians 5 is simple.
Yes.
Don't let the culture undermine something beautiful that God has given us. And the relationship, that's a lot of work, but keep that love alive. Keep smiling at each other, dating, doing hobbies together,
Right.
walking through life together, growing old happily together, serving one another. That's relationship, investing in that marriage. And don't forget romance. Emphasize it, prioritize it,
Yes.
enjoy it.
Don't let it die.
And if you need help, get it. You can reach out. If we can help you, we'd be glad to. There's books available. We could recommend some books that have been just amazing in our lives.
Yes. Very
And,
helpful.
They helped us, and they'll help you. So, anything else before we go, sweetheart?
I think just to encourage them to continue listening, we were going to finish our investing in your marriage, but we're going to continue because we had a few people,
Sure.
not really a flood of, hey, can you do this, but a flurry of, hey, could you just expand on menopause? Could you expand on midlife crisis? And so we're going to expand the investing in your marriage to investing during the challenging seasons.
Yeah. So we'll do 2 or 3 more sessions on this investing in marriage, the seasons of life challenges, or the challenging seasons of life is how
Yes.
we're going to title it.
Yes.
So look forward to that, and we'll start those next week. This is Keeping It Young, and we're the Youngs. We're very, very thankful that you would listen today. Have a great day.
The Keeping It Young podcast is a Bax 5 Media production. All rights reserved.